Today I will have the pleasure of talking with Lucas, who is a good friend of mine, but who is also a French artist that is interested in both sound and visual arts. And the main subject of our conversation today will be the mural that he is creating on the wall outside of the Ramtamtam studio. So let's begin.
Hi, I'm Lucas Froeliger. People call me often just Lux. Like my music persona and like art online is people call me Light Process. I mean that's how I'm that's my handle. I've been living in Poland for about 4 years now. 3 years in Trójmiasto, and I moved out about a year ago to Wrocław. And I'm here, and we're here today in Sopot at the Ramtamtam studio because it's there that I had my most recent album and some other titles mixed, and I just know the people who work here, and you used to be part of them.
Sure.
And it's from there that we started thinking about this idea of painting a new mural, basically.
Yeah, so you mentioned your album, and I would like myself to mention that we will speak about it a little bit later. But right now, I would like to go back to the subject of like our main interest today, which is the mural, because you're painting the mural outside of the studio. So maybe if you could speak a little bit about what concept stands behind the mural, how do you feel about it? How do you kind of put the energy of the place into your project, into your design?
I'm replacing a mural that was fairly... I mean, there was a mural before that got a bit old and needed to be replaced, and that's how I got into this project. And it used to be something very... I keep forgetting that word. Something very figurative. And I replaced it with something really different that is fairly way more abstract. When I do visual things, I'm always on a sort of a fine line between figuration and abstraction, where I like to produce my pieces to be abstract. That's absolutely certain. And yet I want people to be able to see things in it. And this is what I've done also today. In all my work, I'm very interested in the question of dialogue with the space, with the people, with everything. Dialogue is at the heart of my art production, and it had... I mean, the dialogues here are being represented by the different constraints that were in front of me. Some of them being simply time constraints. And I wanted to do something that was very detailed, and I realized with time that the constraints of it didn't allow me to be as precise as I wanted. So I created a mural that is recognized, that we can recognize as my style, let's say, which is very pixelated. And this is even more pixelated than my other works. The pixels are massive, and these are that's in part due to the constraints, in the sense that I limited the amount of colors and the amount of and the size of the pixels to make it paintable in a sensible manner. Composition is inspired by first of all by the shape of the wall itself. The wall is about 9 meters wide, so it made sense to divide it in an even amount, and so that's why each pixel is about 15 centimeters wide. And I created the composition with very bright colors, a lot of black and white, and then CMYK colors, because I like to limit myself to very simple colors. And I wanted it to inspire a form of energy. I mean, the high contrast of everything makes it quite, I would say, energetic. And I had this idea of making it a bit joyful. That the bright colors and the big contrast play a lot for that. And I also, in the composition, I tried to make it, I was inspired half consciously and half unconsciously to try to make the composition inviting people to get close to the door. It has a lot of lines that converge towards the diagonal lines that tend to converge towards the left of the composition, which is where the door to Ramtamtam is. And the different things on the wall also were inspirations as to what to put there for my composition, as to which is what I do in all of my art, in my music also, which is to complement the space. And I try to do this with my composition while making it a bit radical with very, very big pixels and all that, which is a bit uncommon. Yet I also wanted to have it complement the space.
Do you know also, since this is a place that many people visit because there's plenty of bands rehearsing here like on a regular basis, I was wondering if you hope for the people to experience or to feel something precise while walking past.
I don't think so much about it. Except for the aspect of joy, but I think it's a fairly personal thing. I don't expect people to actually have the same sensation as I do. It's just this is what it brings to my mind, this idea of high contrast and bright colors just brings me the idea of like it's a kid who made it.
Yeah.
Who would think about it more. But other than that, there's nothing really precise that I want to bring to people. Basically, I don't think I would want any of my art to be evocative of anything that could be expressed simply with words.
Sure. Since you are also a friend of mine, we spoke a little bit about stuff, about creating art and all of that. And, you know, I know, but I also noticed about you that there is a great fascination towards the idea of perfection. And I know that it is like that you kind of were drawn towards creating art because of your urge to create something that is perfect, or to, you know, kind of invoke the idea of perfection to the material. My question is, what is your current relationship with this idea?
Yeah, it's been a tumultuous journey, if I can call it that. I got into the field of art wanting to make things perfect. I'm an artist who always has been doing many things. I mean, I make music on top of art, but also even in art, I don't really have a medium that's my own. I don't even consider myself as a painter, for example. I don't know the technique or anything, and I paint because I need to be doing the paint, but I'm not a painter. And regarding perfection, I used to, for example, I have a clear memory of taking pictures with a camera and being frustrated about the fact that the pictures were a bit grainy, were not as good as I wanted them to be, and if I wanted them to be perfect, I would need to have a better equipment, or better experience, or organization, time, people, all these which I didn't have, and it frustrated me a lot. So and I realized actually that the best way I found a way to get out of it, which is to actually embrace the opposite and to embrace art that is dirty, grainy, and loud, I would say. And simple at the same time, in a way. That's how I resolved this conundrum of perfection. But now that I have experience and that I found I found a solution to this main issue, I'm now in a way able to come back to this sense of perfection. I have now a bit more experience in making things. I understand what I'm doing and what I want to do and what I can do. And I chose to focus on things which I could control. And so these I can attain, in these things I can attain a closer form of perfection. And the things that I know I'm not able to, I just don't, because I can't. And I am fine with it, which I wasn't before.
Yeah. So if you would be so nice to speak a little bit also about the process of creation. And also I'd like to refer to the thing that you mentioned before, which is the dialogue between things, which I believe that is very important for you.
Well, my artistic process, regarding it, I don't consider myself as a creator, in excluding the debate of do we create anything, and the answer is kind of like no. But I mean, I'm not talking really about this debate. I'm just saying that my way of making art is actually not to create, and I'm absolutely fine with that. It's what I figured out how I functioned. It took me a while. It's actually happened in Poland when I was doing my Erasmus stay. I mean, the reason I'm in Poland is because I did an Erasmus stay in the ASP of Gdańsk.
Because at first you didn't think about staying here so long.
No,
you can say that
I didn't.
it actually just happened.
It just so happened that I felt very welcomed in the arts and music scene of Gdańsk and Trójmiasto. So I stayed, basically. And regarding my art, it took me a while to figure out that what I do is not creation. I'm not really good at creating things. When I say creating, I mean pulling out something out of my head and drawing it like, oh, I have this idea in mind of this picture, this face, this character. I'm not good at it. I'm not a good entertainer regarding this, for example. What I do is not creating, is transforming. Always, I think. I'm interested in the man-made structures, codes, conventions, softwares. I mean, all the things that we, as a society, as a culture, as human beings, make collectively, and that because we made them so well, we forget that they exist. Or also like design. What's the word? All the design conventions. I mean, conventions of even like talking to people and smiling to them, or saying hello, or when you hold your hand to someone, they will instinctively want to shake yours most of the time. All of these are constructs, and I like to deconstruct them. I mean, to question them. I like to question rules, convention, all of these things. I like to question them by transforming them and making them visible. Basically, that's what I do. And I do that in all the fields that I think are interesting. And that's also the reason why I'm not, I don't have one specific medium. I could be working with anything I feel needs to be worked with, basically. In these techniques, I like to amplify things, which is a very memetic thing, like a very online meme thing to do. I was, for 3 years, in the beginning of my studies, I was focusing only on internet memes. And back in the day, anyone above the age of 35 didn't know what a meme was. I had to explain it to, and people, it's not the case anymore. I like to amplify things until it becomes absurd, which is what I kind of did for my previous mural. I like to make fake things, to create a thing that passes for, can we say that in English? That feels and looks like something else, and to make people fall for it. I want to make people go like, this is what I think it is. And then I actually want them to think about it and go like, that's actually, maybe it's not what I think it is. And that's what I like to do. I like to make people question what they see. That's one of the reasons I do things. That's my main thing. So I tend to transform things way more than actually create them out of the blue in many ways, shapes and forms. And regarding the dialogue, it's also the fact that this is a thing that expresses more in music. That in the music that I do and how I feel. But I feel like I enter in relation, I get in relations with things as in a dialogic way. Whereas I poke at it, see how it responds and respond myself and have a back and forth thing with the things I work on or I work with, and this is a thing that happens more in music anyway.
Yeah, so since we are here near the subject, maybe let's discuss the music a little bit, because we know you're a musician. You mentioned before that you mixed one of your albums here in Ramtamtam studio.
Right here. I don't know to which camera I should show it to. It's for once the cover was not made by me, because I mean all the covers I make all my covers except for this one and another one. And this also, you also happen to be, it's very small. You also happen to be featured on it.
That's correct.
The last two tracks are with you. This has been painted also by a friend of mine who does amazing also abstract paintings. I mean, I chose this picture because it relates a lot to what I do. I chose it because I was surrounded by her painting for some time when I was living with her.
The beautiful thing is that, like, the cover here, it is like, I would say 10% of the painting itself, and it is so very beautifully detailed here that you can actually see the wave.
Yeah.
You can see the dialogue between the colors, and it is just like a very, very small part of the whole picture.
Yes, and this is what I tend to do all the time, is that I look at pictures, mine or otherwise, and I find very small details. This is not so small, but you know what I mean. And I look at this very small thing and I said, this has a very interesting thing. I want to bring it out. I want to bring out its own internal traits. That's what I mean when I'm amplification, for example. And so, yeah, this CD, I had it mixed in Ramtamtam. And it's like most of my music. It's improvised ambient music, improvised electroacoustic ambient music, where I play ambient music, often with a guitar, and more recently, since a few years, with electronic equipment. And I just play it live, and this time with no plan at all. That's a big divide between my visual works and my music works, is that I am really interested in improvisation. And then the question of the dialogue makes more sense, I feel, because
it makes more sense according to the music.
Yeah, exactly. In the music field, it's also more easy to understand anyway, because it's a continuous process that's happening in front of you. If you're in a concert, or if you're just, I'm at your house and I'm playing guitar in the background. I like my music to be, I make it this way. I don't want to be playing a concert, a regular concert with songs that I planned, because that's not the way I like to function, let's say. I like to be able to come in blind and to have things prepared in case as a fallback mechanism, let's say. But I'd rather just improvise the thing from A to Z.
Well, I know that you have played in quite a lot of interesting places. I mean, that usually your concerts are not just concerts that you go into a club and you just watch you play your songs. So maybe you could speak a little bit about the places that you've been playing in.
Yeah. In Miasto, you mean?
Can be your story of playing in France also.
Right, yeah, okay. So, I mean, I've been playing... So, right now what I'm doing is, with this album, for example, which was recorded live, for example, is that I show up in places not knowing what I'm going to play. Yeah. But it's called Building Myself a Cliff. I don't know if it's readable. Because it's what I've done. Like, by myself, I've built myself a set of instruments and tools that I would like to use in certain ways, and that I'm always happy to find new ways to use. And on stage, I use them in an unexpected way. So I build myself a cliff in the background, and the concert is like saying that I'm dancing on the cliff. And it's important to instill this idea that I don't know what I'm doing, and I could fall. I could fall and fail at any time. And that's very important for me. There needs to be this element of risk. I don't plan my songs. I don't have a series of sets. I want it to be this way. And this relates, for example, to the way I used to make music before, which is even less conventional, I would say, because I was not doing concerts. I was doing sound performances first, and it was with a very minimal setup, just an electric guitar, a loop pedal, and an amplifier, or sometimes multiple. And I would be playing the guitar as well as the space I was in. My idea was to make some sort of sound sculptures in a way. And the space it was being played in was as important as the instrument I had in my hands. For example, I would be playing in places of passage. You can say that in Polish. It's a Polish word. I would play that in places where you wouldn't expect to have music at. Places where it would be uncomfortable to have a concert in. Like corridors, or a lot of corridors, or museums, art galleries. I had plans to play in a big indoor garage. I actually never got to do that. And there I would just show up for a few hours, and it's the same thing. Improvise completely with my guitar, purposefully trying to in the loop to throw myself some traps, and like I want to play this and then this and then that, but I will purposefully stay conscious. Yeah, exactly. I would purposefully delay playing certain things or play them in an unexpected way for myself to have to still be aware of what's going on and to not be fall in some sort of a comfortable state. And this, as I say, it was, if there were not concerts, there were sound performances. And for example, I would say to people, I'm going to be playing on that day, but I wouldn't give them a beginning and end time, because I didn't want people to come there for me. I wanted to be part of the ambience of the environment. I wanted people to stumble onto me. This was very important to me, as to not be concerts. Now I'm doing concerts, but I still kept this idea of improvisation and all that. And then the dialogue things is a bit explicit, is more explicit, because the way I made music, and I still make music now, is that I draw energy from the space around myself, and all of this, and I translate it unconsciously to music. And I realized basically the best music I play is when I'm at home, I'm hanging out with some friends in the evening, and they are talking about anything, and I'm with them a bit on the side,
Creating
playing
the
guitar.
background for the conversation.
And, I can tell that there is a dialogue here coming from them to me and me to them, even though I'm not speaking much or not at all. I can feel that they are influenced by my playing, and they are influenced me by their talking, by how I do. And I cannot really put it into words. And it's either not really something that is, I'm not trying to illustrate what we're talking about. It's not about this. It's not because, if they are annoyed at each other, I'm not going to be playing angry music. It's not how like it is. It's something less obvious, a bit more subtle. I'm absolutely not trying to illustrate things. I'm just drawing some energy from it the same way during concerts with, for example, I'm part of the Wrocławska improwizowana...
Wrocławska orkiestra improwizowana.
This one. I'm part of it, and I play synthesizer actually with them. And it's kind of the same thing anyway. Or if you play any kind of concerts, the audience has an impact on the playing. And if the audience is not reactive, and it could be very subtle between a reactive audience and a non-reactive audience, you in return don't feel so great and you have trouble playing. And I basically, it's what's happening with me is the same, but I tend to probably be more sensitive to it, and I rely on it more purposefully.
I think that's it. Thank you so much for the talk that we've had. It was a pleasure as always. And I guess that we will also put some links to your Instagram, so people that are interested will be having a chance to get to know you better. And that's that.